Why was it that the Chinese did not unalive Puyi, their last emperor? I mean, the guy probably deserved it. He had, after all, collaborated with fascist Japan to set up a puppet government in China's northeast, where troops who were nominally under his command would commit some of the worst atrocities of the Second World War. And plenty of other fascist collaborators from the 1930s and 40s would be unalived post-1945. I mean, Lord Haw Haw, who was essentially the 1940s equivalent of a podcast bro, was shown the rope by the British after the war, so why not Puyi? Well, to be honest, if the nationalists had won the Civil War, Puyi probably would have been sent to the gallows. But luckily for him, it was the communists who won the Civil War, and they decided that restorative justice was more productive than retributive justice. And so Puyi was sent to a prison in China's northeast, where he was to be taught the error of his ways and to come to really understand how his actions during the Second World War and before it had impacted on the people he had nominally ruled over. I mean, there's a section in his autobiography which he wrote near the end of his life in which he recounts this time in prison where he is taken to a village in China's northeast where troops who had been nominally under his command had committed really terrible atrocities. And in a moment alone with this peasant woman who has been telling him her story of life under Japanese occupation, Puyi asks, well, what do you actually think about me? And she looks him in the eye and she says, if it was up to me, I would tear you apart with my very teeth. But Chairman Mao has said that you are to be reformed. And Chairman Mao brought peace, and he brought us food, so I trust Chairman Mao. And, I mean, this restorative justice works from a pure political standpoint anyway. Puyi leaves the prison, not just a reformed character, but a committed communist. He would later go on to join the Communist Party of China. And what this does is it really puts an end to this millennia-long tradition of Chinese imperialism, because the last guy to be the emperor of China completely disowns it. China has never really seen a return of resurgent monarchism, and I think it is, in part at least, to do with the decisions made in the 1940s by the communist leadership. You see, by putting Puyi in prison rather than unaliving him, they robbed any potential monarchist movement from a martyr in the same way as the French have Louis XVI, or the English would have Charles I, or the Russians would have Tsar Nicholas II and his family. Because the last imperial family became committed communists, it meant that they were completely deprived as the figureheads of any monarchist movement. It's completely unclear just now, even if you were a monarchist in China, who exactly your guy would be. So that is why China did not unalive their final emperor.